Scholars, welcome back for Read Aloud. We are going to continue finishing our biography that we started yesterday about Jesse Owens. We know that a biography is a true description of a real person's life, and often these are about important people from the past or present. Jesse Owens, we learned yesterday, was definitely an important person from the past. We get to continue to read today to figure out more different pieces of factual information about Jesse's childhood, goals, and accomplishments. Yesterday, we learned all kinds of different things about Jesse's childhood and when he grew up. Today, I bet we'll get to learn more about his goals and accomplishments. What's something that you learned yesterday that you didn't already know? Yesterday, I learned something about Jesse that I didn't know before. I didn't know that originally his name was JC, but when he started going to school and his teacher mispronounced it and called him Jesse, that's how he got his name that we always call him by now of Jesse Owens. So, as we were finishing up yesterday, I asked you guys a question. I asked you, why did Jesse work so hard to become a great runner, even though he'd had a pretty difficult childhood already? That question was a motivation question because I was asking you why the character did something. Let's review the CFS. To answer a character motivation question, you want to use the character's name, explain what the character wants, and provide your text evidence to support and explain your answer. I'm going to show you how, as a good reader, I would take those steps. So I'm thinking now about why Jesse would work so hard to become an amazing runner. Let me think about what Jesse wants. I'm going to go back in the text to find my text evidence. Well, I can see on this page here, when he started running in middle school, he began to work with his coach. He began to work with his coach, and it says on the text right here that Jesse trained to be the best runner he could be. So that lets me know that even though Jesse had had a difficult life that we had learned about, Jesse still wanted to be the best runner. So that meant he was going to have to keep working very hard to meet that goal and be successful. And he did it. Let's read about the ways that he did that. So yesterday we finished off hearing about how he had set some records in junior high. He went to Ohio State University and was on the track team there too. On May 25th, 1935, at the Big Ten Championship meet, Jesse had what has been called the greatest day in track and field history. He set 3 world records and tied a 4th, all within 45 minutes. I am so impressed by all of the different things that Jesse has already accomplished at this stage in his life. So let's stop and think for a second. Why did Jesse go to college? I know that's something a lot of people do, but why specifically did Jesse go to college? Let's think about what we know from the text. Well, the text told us that yesterday we learned in the text that Jesse's family wanted him to have a better life. And we read that Jesse worked to be the best runner he could be. So we know in order to make that happen, he had to go to college so that he could get more records beaten and get acknowledged by different people to be even more successful. So he was extremely hardworking and driven, so he went to college to work on that skill of running even more. Several weeks later, on July 5th, 1935, Jesse Owens married Minnie Ruth Solomon, a young woman he had met at Fairmont Junior High School. He said later, "I fell in love with her the first time we talked, and a little more every time after that." She was quiet, smart, a loving and supportive wife of Jesse, and a good mother to their 3 daughters, Gloria, Marlene, and Beverly. Let's stop to think. Why did Jesse Owens choose to marry Minnie Ruth? We're going to go through these steps. Let's stop and think about what the character wants. What does Jesse want? Well, we know that Jesse wanted to marry Minnie Ruth because it says in the text that he loved her from the first time they met and that she was a loving and supportive wife in addition to a really good mother. So that lets us know that he really liked that Minnie was kind and intelligent, and so he wanted to marry her. Notice I was able to use the characters' names, what the characters wanted, and give you my text evidence in my answer. In 1936, the Olympic Games were held in Berlin, Germany. We talked yesterday about how right now in this time in Germany, Hitler was the leader. Hitler believed that his people were superior over others, including black people. Jesse Owens and other athletes proved that he was wrong. Jesse Owens won 4 gold medals and was the hero in the 1936 Olympics. That's important information to know about what was going on in the world right now and how Jesse Owens was performing and making a name for himself. He tied the Olympic record of 10.3 seconds for the 100-meter race, set a new world record of 20.7 seconds for 200 meters around a curve, and was part of the team to set a record for the 400-meter relays. With a long jump of 26 feet, 5 5/16 inches, Jesse Owens set a new Olympic record too. We know that people get very excited about the Olympic Games and feel so proud of the athletes from their country that are winning and performing extremely well. So Americans must have been very proud of Jesse Owens for winning all of these different medals. He seemed to be jumping clear out of Germany, wrote one reporter. Lutz Long, the popular German jumper who came in second, ran over to shake Jesse's hand. The picture of the 2 athletes, a black American and a white German, in the midst of all that was going on with hate and prejudice around them, is one of the lasting images of the 1936 Olympics. I love that they're stopping to shake hands out of respect for one another, despite any differences that are going on in their countries. There was a parade in Cleveland to welcome Jesse Owens home. And in New York City, he rode at the head of a ticker tape parade of the entire Olympic team. But there was prejudice too. And Jesse said later that when he returned to the United States, I couldn't ride in the front of the bus. I couldn't live where I wanted. In the years following Jesse's great victories at the 1936 Olympics, he worked as a playground director, made speeches, appeared on radio programs, and led a band of black musicians. He started the Jesse Owens Dry Cleaning Company in 1938, but it went out of business a year later. He continued to run, too, in exhibition races against baseball players, cars, motorcycles, dogs, and horses. Years later, he wrote that sometimes those races made him feel more like a spectacle than an athlete. But he also wrote, at least it was an honest living. I had to eat. Jesse Owens gave hundreds of speeches on the value of family, religion, and hard work. He was warm and friendly, and audiences loved to listen to him. Jesse Owens also wrote his autobiography and 2 books on issues facing the black community. In the first one, Black Think, My Life as Black Man and White Man, he wrote that if a black person doesn't succeed in America today, it's because he has chosen to fail. But 2 years later, in I Have Changed, he seemed more aware of the prejudice blacks faced every day and showed more understanding for those who fought for equality. For many years, Jesse Owens was called the world's fastest human, and he had won many awards. In 1950, he was named the all-time greatest track and field athlete by the Associated Press. In 1976, President Gerald R. Ford gave him the Presidential Medal of Freedom. In 1979, President Jimmy Carter gave him the Living Legends Award. Jesse Owens died of lung cancer on March 31st in 1980 in Arizona. People all over the world were saddened as they remembered his great victory and his warm smile. The races Jesse Owens ran were over in seconds, but the story of his rise from a poor sharecropper's son to a world hero has inspired young people to dream and to work hard to make their dreams come true. That's where we're stopping in our picture book of Jesse Owens. We got to learn about his childhood, his goals, his accomplishments, among other things. So now, to respond to this read aloud today, we're going to stop and think about what's one important fact that you learned about Jesse Owens. And think about something that inspires you about Jesse Owens. When you're ready to respond, write down your answer on a piece of paper or in a note on Seesaw. Remember, you're naming what's one important fact that you learned about Jesse Owens. And you're sharing what inspires you about Jesse Owens. I can't wait to read what you guys write.